Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Access Live. I am John Samuel, and thank you all for joining us today. And, we started last week with our very first episode where I shared my story and kind of explained what we're doing here every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn Live. But, today we have a really exciting episode for a couple of reasons. One, it's about to talk about a new program or a new business line that we just launched called AblrWorks. And we're also interviewing a couple of my favorite people. And we have Dan Gonzalez, who is the co-founder of District C, and Morgan Cates, who is the director of AblrWorks. So welcome both.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
No, I'm really excited that y'all are here this is really our first real episode, because last week was just me talking to the audience. But today, really this show, we're hoping that we can interview some really amazing people and educate people on things that we're working on and how we're working to break down barriers for people with disabilities. But just introduce yourself and share a little bit about District C.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. This is it's a real honor and a pleasure, and good to be with you, Morgan, as well. So as John said, I'm Dan Gonzalez, a co-founder of District C. District C is a nonprofit. We got started here in the Triangle. We're about 4.5 years old, and we have a singular purpose, which is to prepare the next generation of diverse talent for modern work. Prepare the next generation of diverse talent for modern work. We define modern work as working in diverse teams to solve complex problems. Can you work with others who think differently, bring different strengths, abilities, backgrounds, and leverage those differences to create novel solutions to really hard problems? So we have a kind of a flagship program that we call Teamship, which is essentially teams of students working to solve real problems for real businesses with the help of an expert coach, with the support of an expert coach. So that's District C. As I said, we've been doing this for about 4.5 years. We're really excited to be partnering with Abler and AblrWorks and both of you to be with the goal of bringing this experience to even more students over time. So excited to talk more about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. And Morgan?
Oh, sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Morgan Cates, and like John said, I'm the director of AblrWorks, and so I get to work with the fine people at Abler and as well as District C, especially with our pilot program. And so just like Dan said, being able to take their Teamship program and then being able to integrate that for how he was talking about with the diverse teams and us being able to add that disability inclusion aspect to it and to make sure that we can be as thoughtful and mindful as possible in that process.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. I had the opportunity of meeting, what is it now? 3 years ago?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we met at a Innovate Raleigh event, I think, first. And you were doing an event where a workshop where you had these big tables. And I remember there was big pieces of paper and we had to write down things. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was kind of like a mini design sprint. I think what it was.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, right? It was like this design sprint. We had to use some keywords, and I remember having trouble with it, right? And I remember you coming up to me afterwards and talking to me about how can we make this more inclusive? What can we do to help out? And then I think it was like a few months later, we saw each other at a Leadership Raleigh program event, and then you came up and who was your co-founder and wife, she came up and started, was explaining to me what was going on the screens. And so, you had an opportunity of kind of seeing firsthand about making it more inclusive for me. But, as we go into this, talking about the Teamship program a little bit more, how was that experience kind of even working with me and kind of understanding inclusivity and making it more inclusive? How was that impact on you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I'll start by I think talking a little bit about like one of the core principles of the Teamship and District C model, which is that when you are at your best as a team member when you understand and know how to help your teammates bring their best selves to their work, right? And only when you're able to do that can you leverage the full power of a team to achieve great and hard things. And so I think what your story and you personally and you, Morgan, and the Abler team have helped us think about at District C is how can we adapt our coaching and our programming to coach students on how they can bring the best out of every individual who has talents, including those who may not have the same abilities as them. And so through this pilot program, we have learned a ton from you all, like simple nuts and bolts about, in a live team meeting, how do you make sure that every person on the team has access to the documents they need? A lot of the teamwork that we do, there's multiple people working in a document simultaneously. That can be challenging for some people who have different vision abilities, right? And so thinking through those pieces has really been, I think, illuminating for us. We still have a lot of work to do. I mean, I'm thinking we're just at the end of this pilot right now. Tomorrow, I'm already thinking about like, there are 5 or 6 things, or maybe 100 things I wish that I had done better as a coach. And so I'm really excited next week to meet with both of you in our kind of post-mortem debrief and talk through some of the experiences and the data, some of the things I was noticing as the coach of these students, and try to make some refinements and improvements. So it's really important because as people bring different abilities, they're going to bring different perspectives and life experiences to the work. When you can leverage those, you are at your best as a team. For us as a company, like I know this is going to be a forever endeavor to get better and better at this inclusivity piece. And I'm just thrilled to be partnered with you all who can support us along the way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. I think the intentionality of District C prior to, putting this teamship together, going through the training because you actively pursued that to understand how can we do a more inclusive experience for all of the members of this program. And so I appreciate that. And so Morgan, from your experience, now putting it together, kind of recruiting students, working together, how has it been? What has it been like to work with these students on a daily basis? Because I think you've been listening in every day, right? Over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, they have allowed me to be a fly on the wall, which I'm very grateful for. Yes, it's been amazing. It's been really encouraging and inspiring, and just to see the ways that they're able to use that expert mentorship, through Dan and through the District C model, and actually apply things like psychological safety, being able to apply these aspects of collaboration and feedback and open-ended questions. And there's a lot of mindsets and tools that District C employs that I think, just like he was saying, really helps diverse teams, address complex problems, which is exactly what the workforce is wanting and needing. And so to have the students have that exposure, I've been growing and learning and thinking through like, hey, what do we want to apply for our own team, John, through this process. And so I think it's going to be really exciting at the pitch event to be able to participate again as a fly on the wall for their, final presentations to the business partner, and then to hear that question and answer session, right, where like the business partner can ask questions, and to hear the students really almost like own their solutions, which they're already doing, but to be the experts, right, and solving this pain point for a business. I don't know, it's been incredible. It's been really neat to see, and especially with that accessibility piece with, Dan and his team being so thoughtful and mindful, and how that translates to the actual teamship program, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it seems to help everybody. It's not just for the individual students that either have blindness or low vision, but it's helping everybody on the team, and that's just like really echoing that point of how important inclusivity is, especially in regards to access.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe we need to take a step back real quick. Dan, can you actually talk through what's going on in terms like with the business problem and with the actual people? Because Morgan mentioned the pitch, and that's something I really want to jump into afterwards. But to maybe start off with kind of what is the business problem, who that our business client is, and what the students are doing.
Yeah, so we have 7 students who are working over the course of 2 weeks to solve a real business problem for a company called Groga that was founded by Emily Bear. Some of you may know her. She's fantastic. The problem that she has posed is through the pandemic, she has felt like there's been less momentum and less engagement from her team members as a result of COVID and the virtual work, et cetera. So she's put this problem to this group of 7 students. The 7 students are broken into 2 teams. One is 4 students and one is 3 students. And they essentially work for 3 hours a day over the course of 2 weeks as they get ready to propose their solution back to Emily. So on the first day, we did a bunch of coaching on mindsets and tools related to collective problem solving. On the second day, they had a chance to interview Emily to better understand her business, to better understand her motivations and the problem. They have interviewed other employees of the company over the course of the 2 weeks, and they're going through a design process that will lead them to a proposal that they will pitch back to Emily tomorrow at 10 a.m. Live through Zoom. The teams are comprised, and this is intentional, we designed this together. The teams are comprised of students who are sighted and with students who have low vision. And so I think the real power in this model is we're not just saying, hey, let's work with students who have the same disability and put them together, and then the students who have other abilities, let's put them. We're trying to create truly diverse teams so that students are in the context of real work, which is you're working with people who have different skills, perspectives, backgrounds, abilities. How do you work with people to get the best out of them? And so that has been kind of the core of the program over the last couple of weeks.
That's awesome. It's funny when I talk to people about it, I often call it it's the business school model, right? Put the 4 students together because you're your team. Doing my MBA, I lived with every waking moment was with my team. These 3 other students, and the funny thing is, it's what these 7 students that are going through right now. This was my MBA class for 2 years, right? Each team had to we all had to learn how to work together. With me losing my sight, and so and that's why I think I've always been really connected to what y'all have built, because it really was some of the best learning and best experiences of my life. And so what can we expect? Tomorrow is the pitch day, so what can we expect from the students and the whole experience?
Yeah, great question. So at 10 o'clock, we'll have some opening remarks from a former student. Then we'll have some remarks from a professional in the community that well, John. And then we'll have two pitches that will be 25 minutes each. Team 1 will go first. They'll give a 10-minute presentation, followed by 15 minutes of question and answer. So Emily will be peppering them with questions as she considers whether she can go take this solution and actually implement it. And then we'll have the second group. And then Morgan is going to make some closing remarks, which I'm really excited about. But this will be a great opportunity to see 7 high school students. You mentioned, John, you kind of experienced this as an MBA candidate. Yeah. These are 16, 17-year-olds. So I love that we got the opportunity to have the next generation of talent, really young talent, getting this chance to work with a professional in the community and to do really, really hard work. So it should be fun tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, super excited about that. And Morgan, something that you mentioned yesterday in our meeting was about how the students have actually taken some of these like best practices from Traction without even knowing what Traction is. So kind of doubling down on the fact that these are high school students. So how have these students surprised you? How did they how did they surprise you?
No, absolutely. Let me count the ways. I would say the biggest thing has just honestly been the way that they're willing to lean in.
Yeah.
And so that would be like with feedback, with awareness of themselves. So there's a practice that District C calls solo flight. So being able to take a moment to kind of step back, have your own time to think, self-reflect, and then share out. That's hard for anybody. I don't care what age you are. And to be vulnerable like that and to be self-aware and share, I think that's been really interesting. I think also just being able to be collaborative, and again, like with that feedback component, and then just the level of curiosity that they have brought to the table and asking questions, and honestly hard questions, not only of each other and themselves, but of the business partner, Groga. I love how open and transparent Groga has been. Mm-hmm. And I love how willing to be brave the students have been to ask questions so they can best find a solution for Groga. And that can be sometimes maybe on the outskirts feeling uncomfortable, but I think there is such a power in being comfortable when uncomfortable, because that's actually when growth and change happen. And I know that's a big thing for you, John.
Oh yeah, for
We
sure.
talk about that a lot. Yes. And so those are just the top ways that they've surprised me. It's been really encouraging.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, talk about that, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? That's one of those big, like the first step in a lot of growth and learning. And so, I
Absolutely.
know as we kind of wrap up, one thing that Morgan and Ronak, who used to be on the team, something they kind of instilled me as like, why? Start with why. So as we close out, I'd like to talk to you, Dan and Morgan. So Morgan, from a why perspective, why do you think this program is going to be able to help students with visual impairments as they move into their career?
Good question. I might want to take some solo flight time to think about it now. I would say the thing that comes up for me that we've been, talking about and discussing, and even just like Dan, what you and your team are doing, is being able to prepare diverse teams to solve complex problems together. And so what I see happening is like a ripple effect. So the students that participate in this teamship model, not only like exposing the business partner to other way of doing things, but also just to be able to see and feel and think about how, complex problems can be addressed, but also accessible, right? Like I hope that the students in these teamship models are able to see like, hey, intersectionality is a real and big thing. And part of that intersectionality piece is disability inclusion. So that ripple effect of, hey, working on a team, I'm going to be more mindful of what supports my teammates need, what supports I need. And then from the business partner perspective, being able to witness, hey, not only can, I hope this doesn't sound negative, but like not only can younger folk do things, they can do things really, really well. And just thinking about those internship and apprenticeship opportunities, but they themselves seeing how they have brought in accessibility and that intersectionality piece and how they themselves want to apply that to their business as a whole, not just to the solution that the students represented or presented. So
cool. No, that's great. And then Morgan touched on the business partner, but why do you think business partners, why do you think they are going to find like real value in participating in this, the AblrWorks and Teamship program moving forward?
It's such a good question. In short, my hope is that they will discover talent that they never would have discovered otherwise. And I think we know from personal experience and from the data that when companies go out and hire for roles, they go to their personal networks. And if you only go to your personal networks, then you're only going to get people from your personal networks. I think that the power and the opportunity here is that by bringing companies to the table who are willing to participate, we can bring students to that same table that might come from different communities, different backgrounds, with different experiences. And we can say, hey, look, here's a real opportunity, business leader, for you to see the great work that all of these students can do. And we want you to take a chance on that. So we have found with District C, a lot of times companies will work with a team of students over 3 or 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it might be, hear their pitches, and then say, hey, are you available for an internship? I want to get you on to continue this work, right? And so that would be the hope, is that through this engagement, we're creating a pipeline.
That's awesome. There's actually 2 stats. What are the numbers on the number of, the business partners who said they'll hire people and how many people implemented? What are those 2 stats again?
Yeah, so 87% of our business partners report back that they have plans to implement at least part of the student solution. And 93% say they're more likely to consider a student for a follow-on internship or job if they have participated in a teamship experience. So I think we've seen early signs of kind of changing hearts and minds around this stuff, which is great, just fantastic.
Yeah, no, Morgan and I talk about those stats quite often because we love that, and I think that's really what we want to replicate with with students with visual impairments, and I we fall under Abler, LCI, we fall underneath that 87% because this program is a reflection of the work that we've done with District C in the past. So folks business partners, please reach out to Dan. So Dan, how can they get in touch with you?
Dan at districtc.co. dan@districtc.co.
Awesome. And Morgan, how's the best way they can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Email's great. You can also use LinkedIn where you are right now. But I would say morgan.cates, Cates, at abler360.com would be great.
Awesome. Thank you both. You know, the last couple of weeks, I know that y'all have been working super hard, not just the last couple of weeks, but for months on this. But I'm just super excited about tomorrow, and I think we're gonna have a huge impact. So thank you both.
Thank you.
And for everyone, we will be back next week. We're hoping to get some really cool speakers that we'll be interviewing, and as the Paralympics are coming up, be prepared for some interesting guests. And again, we will be on LinkedIn Live every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. So thank you all for joining us today. And please leave your comments in the comment section and ask questions, whatever we can do. We'd love to engage with you. Thank you.